Patrick, the way you describe how your product kind of mimics meat once it's heated and cooked, it brings up the question of exactly how difficult the science and engineering is and how proprietary your product is. And I think this gets to one of the debates we have around here about just exactly what the barriers to entry are and what you actually own in the way of intellectual property in these formulations.
Oh, well, yeah. So the way that we approach the problem, really no food company had ever done this before. We were not interested in making a veggie burger. We were interested in cracking the code, in molecular terms, cracking the code of meat flavor and sensory experience. And we built an R&D team. You know, in our first year, we basically had an R&D team and a couple of business people, 100 people on the R&D team and a couple of business people. We now have more than 120 people on our research team. And when we started, we believe that the most important scientific question in the world, and I've been a scientist my whole life and just came to this realization that by far the most important scientific question in the world is what makes meat delicious? Because if you can figure out in molecular terms what makes meat delicious and how you can deliver that, not just fake it, but deliver that actual experience using sustainable plant ingredients and ingredients produced by fermentation, you can replace the most destructive technology in the history of the world that, left to its own devices, is pushing us toward a climate catastrophe. And you were just talking about bird populations melting down. The reason that we're in the late stages of biodiversity meltdown right now is that the worst invasive species in history are the animals we raise for food. And expanding their populations comes at the expense of irreplaceable ecosystems and biodiversity. There's 10 times more biomass of cows on Earth than every remaining wild mammal, bird, reptile, and amphibian living on land. 10 times more mass of cows. It's that competition that's causing this meltdown in biodiversity. It's causing the 60% drop in the total numbers of wild mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fish that in the past 40 years that's been reported by the World Wildlife Fund, almost entirely due to our use of animals for food.
So two demand questions from me in the interest of time, Patrick. One, how's the rollout with Burger King going? What are you seeing from consumers? And also, how do you estimate the size of how big this market can be?
Oh, easy. First of all, let me ask, so the Burger King rollout is going great. It's been hugely successful for them. They are incredibly invested in this, and it's been great for us. It's selling extremely well in 7,800 restaurants, and you know, it's just been total success. Now, how big do I expect the demand to be? Right now, the global market for foods you make from animals is worth $1.7 trillion, and in 10 years worth $3 trillion. We're going after the whole thing. Our mission is to completely replace animals as a food technology in the global food system by developing better technology that not only is vastly more sustainable and healthier for the consumer, but actually more delicious. And we can do it because, unlike the cow, we're innovating every single day. And we already have a product that many critics have said is better than the cow version, and we're not stopping there. Every single day we're making even better still.
I'm not sure if all people agree that it's better than the meat, so you might have a tough task to hand there. But Patrick, just wanted to ask if you've been watching Beyond Meat's rise in the stock market and whether that's making you excited at the prospect of your own IPO.
Well, we're not actually at all thinking about an IPO at this point. We're just focused on pursuing our mission, getting the job done, and we don't want to get distracted by that as long as we've got great long-term investors who are willing to support us. But I think that it's the success that Beyond Meat has had is extremely important symbol. It shows that the world is recognizing that this is coming. That well, I would say at this point that Impossible Foods has sort of cracked the code for meat. And in 20 years, we're going to look back and basically say, wow, remember back in the day when we used to use animals to make meat? Because people wonder how big the plant-based meat industry is going to be. It will be the meat industry in 20 years.
So Beyond Meat's cracked the code as well, then, you're accepting?
Well, you were asking about IP. So we have some proprietary IP. We have particularly one thing, which is that we discovered the catalyst that is pretty much entirely responsible for the unique flavor and aroma chemistry of meat. It's responsible for this explosion of flavor and aroma that happens when you cook meat, the bloody taste of raw meat, and all the meaty flavors and aromas that you get when you cook it is due to a particular catalyst called heme. We discovered this. We have patents on it globally. And I think that puts us in a unique position to be able to make the most delicious meats in the world.